Hello and welcome to the Political Brief. I'm Molly Hall. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Emmanuel Macron's party wins big in parliamentary elections. The French president consolidates his power with an outright majority in the National Assembly. We'll break down the winners and losers and look at what's next as Macron fine-tunes his government. "14 months ago, Emmanuel Macron's party was just a startup, but now it's the dominant force in French politics. Sunday's final round of the parliamentary election clinched the president's hold on power. His Republic on the Move party and its allies won 350 of the 577-seat National Assembly. The magic number was 289, so it's a strong showing, but lower than some predictions. Regardless, Macron has made history with his outright majority.
A large majority of the French, with their vote, have chosen hope over anger, optimism over pessimism, trust over resignation. No one would have imagined such a renewal in politics a year ago.
Now, as was the case in the first round, there was a record low turnout. Just under 44% of voters showed up. The far left's Jean-Luc Mélenchon described it as a sort of civic general strike. Well, here's what some voters had to say.
I don't think it's a very responsible thing to do, because if we have things to say and are going to make progress, we have to go through an intermediary who represents us. That's democracy.
People just think about having a good weekend. They have no sense of duty.
I find abstention shameful. We must make a decision and take responsibility.
It's important, it's a Republican duty, even if it doesn't create a huge impact, given everything that's already expected. But I go anyways.
So there are some people who actually turned up to vote. Now, for its part, Macron's team says it reflects the failure of the governing class and highlights the need for new politics.
Perhaps we were a little too confident that everything had already played out, but maybe also our electorate who voted for us in the first round did not come out in such numbers. All this teaches us that one thing is certain, that's tonight there is a strong majority for Emmanuel Macron and Edouard Philippe. There's a will amongst the French to change things, but at the same time there's a vigilance, and for us a demand, a responsibility to change things.
Well, there's already been one notable change, and that's the number of female MPs. They'll make up some 38% of the new parliament. A record 223 women won seats. That beats the previous record of 155 that was set after the last election.
For the first time in the Fifth Republic, the parliament will be profoundly renewed, more diverse, younger, with various professional, political, and civil society experiences. But moreover, and let me personally express my satisfaction, it will be a historical leap for the representation of women at the National Assembly.
Now, Republic on the Move, then solidly in power. Let's take a look at the opposition. Les Républicains and their allies held on to 130 seats. That's down from over 200. But they'll remain the main opposition bloc. A key question now is whether or not they can stay united.
Les Républicains are looking to an uncertain future. With 130 MPs elected, the French Conservative Party has managed to limit the damage. But they have come out deeply divided. So how will the party position itself in the National Assembly? Some of its members refuse any compromise with Macron's government, like Éric Ciotti, who won his seat in the city of Nice, a conservative stronghold.
If certain people wish to keep supporting the current government, I think they will be encouraged to quit our party.
On the other side of the Republican divide, those open to collaborating with Macron, like Guillaume Larrivé, an MP for Lyon.
I want to be a free man in this parliament. That means I absolutely won't be stopped from voting for certain bills if they're going in the right direction. But I also want to be able to propose things myself.
For MP Éric Woerth in the Oise region, the Conservatives must not allow themselves to be divided.
We are capable of living side by side and asking ourselves collective questions on one text or another, or on the attitude to be adopted towards the government.
The first test for the Républicain Party will be the vote of confidence in the new government. set to take place on the 4th of July.
Emmanuel Macron will also face pressure from two of his former presidential race rivals. Both Marine Le Pen and Jean-Luc Mélenchon won seats in the National Assembly for the first time. Mélenchon's France Unbowed party won 17 seats. That's a better showing than Le Pen's National Front. There are 8 seats, not enough to form an official group.
Far-right leader Marine Le Pen has finally had her way. After 2 failed attempts at nabbing a French parliamentary seat, the National Front candidate was elected to represent the northern Pas-de-Calais region in the lower house for the very first time. After her election, Le Pen said she was ready for the National Front to become the main opposition party to President Macron's La République En Marche.
We are the only resistance against the dilution of France, of its social model and its identity. We are and will remain loyal defenders of the people's interest. We will defend them with all our means in the National Assembly, but also in the public arena.
A bittersweet victory for the president of the National Front. Le Pen's party only won 8 seats in parliament, not enough to form an official group. Though other National Front leaders will join her, Le Pen's number 2, Florian Philippot, will have to wait another 5 years. He was defeated by Macron's candidate in the eastern Moselle region. On the other end of the political spectrum, far-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon has also earned his parliamentary seat. He presented himself in Marseille for the first time, and his gamble paid off. Mélenchon took home 60% of the vote in the region. His party fared better than Le Pen's. France Unbowed has enough seats to form a group in the assembly.
The French now have a France Unbowed group in the National Assembly. Coherent, disciplined, aggressive. I informed the new ruling party that we will not give up an ounce of social rights without a fight.
With the Socialist Party in shambles, Mélenchon has his eye on making France Unbowed the new opposition party of the left.
So as you just heard, Jean-Luc Mélenchon wants to fill the void left by socialists. Well, it's a pretty big one. The former ruling party lost more than 250 seats, holding on to just 29. Former Prime Minister Manuel Valls among the winners, but just barely. He won by a mere 139 votes. Well, as for party leader Jean-Christophe Cambadélis, well, he lost in the first round, and now he's quit, saying the party needs a complete overhaul.
The left has to change everything, in terms of both style and substance, its ideas and its organization. The left has to start over. It has to rethink its roots because these 2 pillars, the welfare state and the continuing expansion of freedoms, are being called into question.
Well, Emmanuel Macron wanted a majority, and now he has it. So what does he plan to do with his powers? Well, he wants to loosen labor laws and overhaul the social security system and enshrine parts of the controversial state of emergency into the Constitution. He also wants to clean up French government with a political moralization bill. Well, that transparency is already causing problems for some of his cabinet members. Among them, the defense minister, Sylvie Goulard, has announced she's resigning over a fake job scandal that's hit her centrist Modem party. Now, they're allied with En Marche. And separately, Territorial Cohesion Minister Richard Ferrand has been asked to leave the government for a job as party leader in Parliament. Now, he's a close ally of the president, and he's been embroiled in a conflict of interest scandal. But he says the move is no surprise.
Emmanuel Macron was, above all, demonstrating the trust that exists between us when he asked me to be a candidate to lead the majority in the National Assembly. The President had been talking with us for a long time, trying to figure out how we were going to organize duties for the government to function as fluidly and efficiently as possible.
When French Parliament convenes next week, there'll be a lot of new faces. Only 25% of incumbents held on to their seats. France 24's Ellen Gainsford has more on those headed to the Assembly for the very first time.
At the National Assembly, it's like the first day of school for these newly elected lawmakers. The fresh faces of the French Republic are being shown around their new workplace.
Absolument. I'm excited to get to work. I'm going to try and learn as much as possible. I'm very touched to be here. I'm going to make sure that those who elected me are proud of their lawmaker.
The morning is devoted to administrative tasks. Official photos are taken and documents are filled in.
What's in your initiation pack?
A tricolour, scarf, and something more practical. The rule book of the National Assembly. It's quite thick. I'm not sure I'll get through it all today.
The new arrivals to the Palais Bourbon, which houses the French Parliament, are staggered across the morning. They're welcomed by re-elected lawmakers, there to show them the ropes.
I was lost for at least 3 weeks when I started. The signposting is not very good here. But we'll be here to give them a hand. Tell them the oldies will help you. Well, not that I'm that old.
Meanwhile, lawmakers who lost their seats are packing up their offices.
I had an idea for a while. I anticipated that I might lose. We're only temporary. They aren't our offices. They are the offices of the French people, as is the building. I've just come to collect a few books.
The new lawmakers have a week to complete all their paperwork before the formal reopening of Parliament next Tuesday.
After reaching the top of French politics, Macron's team hopes the sky's the limit. We'll leave you now with images of the president at the French air show in Le Bourget. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week on The Political Brief.